Good afternoon, everyone. This is your captain speaking. We're just about ready for takeoff now, so,
Shit, everybody move now. Go. Inside, everybody inside. To the stairs, quickly. Everyone head to the roof. The helicopter's waiting there. Go.
No, you're lying. That's what demons do. They lie to cause men of God to doubt.
I'm not telling any lies now, Father. I can feel it in your soul that you know what I say is true.
There's so much blood everywhere. Where be the rest of them? I can't tell. What is doing this, Mr. Simon? That couldn't have been done by no man, I swears it. I don't know.
From the minds of true crime guys comes Sandu Stories.
Our brand new channel devoted to our previously Patreon exclusive content, where we'll be bringing you our own version of true crime what-ifs and other audio dramas, one season at a time.
Join us wherever you get your podcast. Now, let's get strange.
I can feel your fear growing and your faith dwindling. It's an intoxicating feeling.
Hello and welcome back to True Crime Guys Podcast. I'm Michael.
And I'm Andy!
And Andy! I'm gonna let you introduce yourself from here on out, Andy.
I have my own responsibilities now.
That's right. I hope you have all your clips ready. I have tons of shit for you to play today.
We all must grow.
That's right.
We get more responsibilities as we grow.
That is very
Part
true.
of being an adult. I'll get the hang of that
Is
one
that
day.
our lesson for today, Andy?
I'll get the hang of it someday.
Listen, nobody's got it together.
Nobody?
Nobody.
You have got to be lying. Social media has told me the opposite. This algorithm can't be just for me, can it?
No, it cannot. It cannot. Speaking of algorithms, guys, go help out our YouTube algorithm by going to subscribing. And ironically, I'm asking you to do this on an episode where we are not recording video.
Yeah, right.
But it's for a pretty good reason. If you guys don't know, my wife, Kristine, is our video editor, producer, all that good stuff, makes the videos worthwhile. And her sister and mother are coming into town from Las Vegas this coming week. All the days she would have been working on your lovely video. So I gave her the week off. So there you go.
She's the one who normally decides what you guys get to see. But this one time, Michael was like, you know what? I'll call it. You take the day.
Exactly. So instead of me editing the video, we're just not doing one.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of it just not being good, we'll just...
That is the advantage of being the boss. But yes, so welcome to this regular True Crime Guys episode. I mean, if you listen in podcast form, like most of our listeners do anyways, you don't even notice the difference. But either way, guys, we appreciate you listening, and smash that subscribe button and leave us a review if you can. We appreciate that very much, especially if you're on Apple Podcast or on Spotify. It really helps the show become, promoted through the algorithms and whatnot. Also, give us a follow on TikTok, and you can see clips from every single episode, even Patreon exclusives. And also, I want to show you guys some stickers. You can click the link below in the description. I actually grabbed a sticker to show it to the camera. Did you notice that, Andy?
Oh, I definitely saw that.
It's a little bit of a habit.
I was like,
I'm just going to hold it up like the camera's there, but it's not.
Yeah, let's just see how long he talks to the stand.
It's a good habit to get into,
yes.
really. I will talk to the stand all day. But guys,
always act like the camera's on, Michael.
That's right.
You'll never be caught with your pants down.
That's right. It's good advice. But yes, these custom stickers that my daughter Melody designed, I could not be happier with. It is a sharply dressed gentleman here, a charming true crime guy, if you will, with a TV head walking away from an exploding creep van. And it says True Crime Guys in the explosion. Guys, these are available at truecrimeguys.com. And you can also, if you click the shop link at the top of truecrimeguys.com, you can get this logo on about anything.
Yeah,
right,
any
Andy?
design,
From
pretty
hoodies.
much any merchandise that we offer that design is part of it now.
Absolutely. You can get anything from a hoodie to a mouse pad to a tapestry and a pillowcase, whatever you're into.
I'm here to inspect the tapestries.
Exactly.
Does this studio not have tapestries?
Right, not TCG tapestries. We don't even have one in the studio. We need to get one, right?
Need more tapestries.
We should design us just a one-off TCG tapestry, just for the studio.
I think you just volunteered yourself.
I think
Mr.
so.
Artist.
What are you talking about? I'm jobbing that out now. I'm building different departments within the show.
I just use my words.
Exactly. But guys, you can also check out our other shows, Strange and Unexplained and Sandu Stories, wherever you listen to podcasts. And of course, there's a ton more content at patreon.com/truecrimeguys. And of course, everything I've mentioned is right below the description of this episode. A special announcement though, guys, you may have noticed if you are a newer listener of True Crime Guys, the first 50 episodes of TCG are not available anymore. Episodes 1 through 50, that's because they're in the TCG vault on Patreon. We got to clear some space every now and then. And so those episodes 1 through 50 are on Patreon on the $2 tier. So for just $2 a month, you get access to those. And by the 1st of June, June 1st, we will be adding the next 50. So after June 1st, episodes 51 through 100 will no longer be available on the free platform, but they will be available on the $2 tier on Patreon.
That's how we know we're getting to like that Disney status. We got to start putting stuff in the vault.
Yeah.
We'll bring it back every once in a while on Collector's Edition.
That's right.
They'll come out on Blu-ray with some bonus features.
That's right. So to be safe, I mean, honestly, you can get every regular episode of True Crime Guys for $2 a month. You know, that doesn't count JTB and Strange Shorts and things like that, but still. But guys, this week's case. First off, there's going to be a special on ID at the end of this month, March 29th. Right, Andy? It's going to be a 3-episode...
A 3-night special, yeah.
3-night special, okay. So, yeah, obviously 3 episodes. And it is the story of Natalia Grace Barnett, I guess, because she was adopted by this family, the Barnetts. In 2013, an Indiana man named Michael Barnett and his wife, Kristine Barnett, they were accused of abandoning their adopted daughter in an apartment alone before fleeing to Canada. But now... they are speaking out against the allegations and claiming that their daughter is not only a sociopath, but also a con artist. Michael and Kristine took to media outlets to declare their innocence, saying that they thought that they were adopting a 6-year-old girl named Natalia from the Ukraine back in 2010, but what they ended up with was more like a 22-year-old woman who was bent on harming the Barnetts and their 3 children.
Talk about a shipping error.
Dude, seriously. Apparently this happens a lot.
This is not what I ordered.
Not at all. But as this story unfolds, guys, if you just watch the trailer to The Curious Case of, I think it's The Curious Case of
Natalie Grace.
Is it The Curious Case of Natalie Grace? That sounds really good. That sounds very Hollywood. It's either that or The Curious Case of Natalia Barnett.
It's The Curious Case of Natalia Grace.
Okay. If you watch the trailer for that, which we have linked in the sources below, it paints the parents in a very bad picture. I'm using quotations, parents, the adoptive parents of Michael and Kristine. It paints them in a very, very bad light, honestly.
It doesn't really paint anybody involved in a very good light. The trailer does a lot of twists and turns, true. And it's, are these the good guys? Or are these the good guys? Or are these the good guys? It does a lot of, we want to get you watching. So, yeah, okay. It does a pretty good job of making everyone seem like they could be the villain, like a mystery movie. So,
yeah, that's kind of aggravating part about this. It's like... you think you know who the villain is as you start looking into this case, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe not. Or maybe both.
Yeah, maybe there is no good guy here.
Maybe they're both shit.
Well, what if they're both shit?
Let's roll the intro.
I will pre-warn you, you might not like the truth.
We had no idea what we were dealing with. She's not 6.
She was an adult. You could just tell. And I'm like, whoa.
She threatened to stab my sons.
I definitely didn't feel safe around Natalia.
You've adopted a kid and now they're trying to kill you. I mean, it's the stuff of a horror movie.
She tried to poison and kill my wife, and Natalia is standing at the foot of the bed with a knife in her hand.
She's tiny. These stories don't make sense.
You just don't know the true Barnetts.
I'm charged with 2 counts of child neglect. Is that correct?
Maybe there's more than one villain in this story.
My mom is definitely not 100% innocent.
Just when you think you have it solved, you find out you don't.
We were all abused!
I hate this.
It's all gonna come to light.
We're in deep, deep trouble.
Well, kicking down the stairs, we said we're not going to say, right?
You got a seatbelt? Buckle up.
All right, so here we go. So
I really didn't know you could play the harpsichord.
Did you?
A harpsichord or whatever it's called.
Okay,
That's
really?
a weird instrument you pulled out there.
For the intro?
That was a great, lots of synth stuff in there.
You
Was that a
like
real
that?
harp?
Yeah. Yes, I guess it is now. I can just edit this out. I have so much of you talking. I could probably just use an AI program and be like, get Andy to talk about not using a harp.
Just loving the fact that it's like, just showing behind the scenes a little bit, guys. Sometimes we don't have the intro ready while we're recording the audio.
We never do. We never do. We record the episode a week in advance. So, yeah, I'm not working on the intro yet.
Get inspired when you get inspired.
Back to this case, Andy. You're going to get us a 1-star review. You know?
Get a gold star? Gold star? That's still a gold star.
That's true. The star. I think they're white stars, actually.
Did I still get a star?
We're trying to get 4 more. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, this case. All right. At first listen or first glance or whatever, however you looked into it, it sounds like a horror film. I mean, you have to admit, it sounds like, what is the name? It's like where people adopted like an orphan or something. Is it?
It's orphan.
It's orphan. Yes, of course I remember that, Andy. I just didn't remember it the first time we talked about it.
the great sentence of quoting Michael right there. It's like, what's that movie? It's like where they adopt like an orphan girl.
Yeah.
It's like a horror movie, but like an orphan girl.
Yeah. You know, it's like an orphan, but she was really creepy.
You mean Orphan?
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Are you sure? That's it.
Well, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's a movie where an American family adopts a Russian orphan, not far from the Ukraine, am I right? Believing that she is a young girl, only to be terrorized by a psychotic woman with a special form of dwarfism. Now, in the film, the girl ends up hurting and even killing members of the adoptive family.
Hollywood.
Okay, so possibly that this adoptive family that we're talking about today could have been inspired by this, wouldn't you? I mean, is that crazy to say?
Oh, no. Movies can inspire lots of things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We love movies. But however, this is no movie script, although I do believe some of these people are acting in some of these interviews.
I do believe there was some pre-scripted dialogue here and there.
Yes, you would have to think. But for the Barnetts, this is the new normal, defending themselves against charges that they claim that they abandoned a helpless, disabled child. So this is a real-life horror story for sure. Like we said before, I'm just not sure on who the villain is.
Yeah, there's no clear, slasher in the mask. This is a real, Alfred Hitchcockian, like, who is this? Right. Where is this? The point of view. And yeah, it's a lot of twists and turns.
Indeed. So let's start with possible villain number 1. Natalia Grace.
Bachelorette number 1.
Natalia Grace Barnett. Yes, who has a rare form of dwarfism called... Oh my gosh, I wish we were doing the video version so I could put this word on the screen because, how do I say this, Andy? Spondyloepiphysis. Nope. Spondyloepiphysis. It's a rare genetic disorder. Okay?
It's a big word.
It is. I don't know what I can do. I'm sorry, guys. Look this up. But it's a rare genetic disorder.
Yeah, spondyloepiphyseal, maybe?
Yeah, that's pretty close. I like that. But this genetic disorder results in a short stature and skeletal anomalies that primarily affect the spine and long bones of the arms and legs. Okay. So that's our possible victim. Doesn't sound very threatening, I'm gonna say.
Not unless you're Peter Dinklage. That man can kill you with a sharp tongue.
Very true.
The range on that man.
Very true. Now, possible villain or villains number 2, the Barnetts, who themselves are no strangers to the spotlight, okay? They do tend to like the attention, I'm just going to say. I mean, you don't have to watch many of their interviews, especially Michael. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that wolf man.
But Kristine Barnett is a published author who in 2013 released a book titled The Spark, A Mother's Story of Nurturing Genius.
Amazon bestseller, if I've ever heard one.
Probably. But the book was an autobiographical memoir about Kristine's experience with her son, Jacob. And Andy's going to read us a small description from Goodreads.
Kristine Barnett's son, Jacob, has a higher IQ than Einstein, a photographic memory, and he taught himself calculus in 2 weeks. At 9, he started working on an original theory in astrophysics that experts may believe someday put him in line for a Nobel Prize. And at age 12, he became a paid researcher in quantum physics. But the story of Kristine's journey with Jake is almost as remarkable because of his extraordinary mind was almost lost to autism. At age 2, when Jake was diagnosed, Kristine was told he might never be able to tie his own shoes.
Wow. And all thanks to Kristine for creating a genius, and both biologically and through grooming. So,
nature over nurture, baby.
That's right, or both.
Yeah,
I think it
right.
takes both. But the book's biggest tagline says Jacob's mind was, quote, almost lost to autism. But thanks to Michael and Kristine's amazing parenting techniques, mainly Kristine's, apparently, they were able to nurture the genius that lie within.
That's the way you got to do it, right?
Yeah, I mean, the book apparently received rave reviews from Washington Post and Newsday, and Jacob, their son, was accepted to Indiana University at the age of 10. He was in front of the camera on many occasions, having hosted his own TED Talk as a teenager.
Riveting.
Yeah, right? He's now...
What would your TED Talk have been as a teenager?
I don't think I have anything worthwhile to say.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. This is why Final Fantasy VII is the better of the Final Fantasies, and thank you for your time.
I hated Final Fantasy.
Well, I didn't have many friends, okay?
Because you played Final Fantasy.
Well,
I'm kidding. I'm not hating on Final Fantasy. I know it's like a freaking cult classic. But Jacob, has spent his time doing more important things, Andy, in Final Fantasy. He's an astrophysicist and a mathematician, and he is believed to be on the path to a Nobel Prize.
Sorry, we aren't all young Sheldon, all right?
Right, seriously. Sometimes autism is a superpower.
Yeah.
Sometimes. His mother is credited with his success using her knowledge of child development gained from running an in-home daycare to provide Jacob with what he needed to succeed. That's what she says. The narrative of this book is a huge contrast to the claims that Michael and Kristine neglected and abandoned their daughter before fleeing the country. But it is the new reality. So, first off, to get approved to adopt a child, that's a lengthy process.
Oh, yeah. If you know anybody who's actually gone through all the stages of adopting, especially from a foreign country, that is a lengthy process. That is supposed to be all these different checks and balances and screenings and visitations. And it's supposed to be a expensive and lengthy process.
Mm-hmm. And it was weird how the whole process got started for the Barnetts. They actually got a call out of the blue, just a random cold phone call saying, we have the perfect little girl for you to adopt.
Yeah.
And she's down here. She's from the Ukraine. She's 6 years old. But that...
Okay, well, they were in the process of... they were going to adopt somebody. It wasn't like they were just at home one day and be like, you want a Ukrainian girl? Wait, who is this?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
yes, I'm sorry. They were...
Is this, Jerry?
I'm sorry. They've already been approved for adoption.
Yeah, exactly.
I should have...
No, I thought that was the same thing,
That's why I
too.
had the whole conversation as far as, how difficult it is to get approved. I'm trying to paint them in a good light as far as they passed all the tests. I'm sorry. That wasn't very clear. Very true. But yes, they were already in the market to adopt someone. I'm sure they were working with an agency, if not multiple ones. And someone from one of the agencies called them out of the blue, and... they said when they first met Natalia, when she first come running up to them, she was already saying mommy and daddy in a high-pitched, very sweet voice.
Okay.
But they also noticed that her mannerisms and her body language were very mature. Okay. So just right off the bat, kind of a weird thing. But there were other red flags as well that would ultimately lead them to changing Natalia's birth year from 2003, which is what her certificate said, from the Ukraine, to 1989, making an 8-year-old girl now a 22-year-old girl,
13 going on 30 right there.
Right.
They made a whole movie about that.
And according to Michael Barnett, the red flags showed up before they even met Natalia, claiming that the adoption agency cold called them, like we said, claiming they found the perfect child for them. And Andy has some audio of Michael Barnett right here.
So when we got that phone call, it was Thursday, April 22nd, 2010. They simply said, hey, it's a closed adoption. We're not going to give you any information about the child. We're not going to give you any information about the former family. Here's all we're going to give you. Here's 2 pictures. Here's a Ukrainian language birth certificate. And here's 1 doctor visit from 2 years before. You have 24 hours to tell us whether or not you want to adopt her. If you don't adopt her within 24 hours, we're sending her directly to foster care.
Which is... Okay, what is this? A used car you're getting off Craigslist?
I know, right?
What
This
kind
is
of a
crazy.
yeah, how did you not think
Jump
that,
on this deal now, or tomorrow it'll be gone.
Right? What is this? A President's Day sale? How do you get a call like an adoption agency? It's like buy now or lose your chance. Like the auction ends at 2400.
Yeah.
This is not an eBay classified ad.
And it doesn't even really coincide with the rules for adoptive parents. For one, were supposed to attend preparation courses for at least 10 weeks, obtain local and state federal background checks, go through special training, and have a physical exam, home study, all of which usually takes about 8 months.
The normal time to grow a regular baby. We want to take the same amount of time, and I want you to just jump ahead.
Right.
You don't get to skip ahead.
No, you don't get to skip ahead. You want to have a child, you plan now.
Yeah.
But this call did come shortly after another adoption fell through. So they were in the process of adopting a little girl from Haiti before the 2010 earthquake devastated the country and halted that process. So the Barnetts were living in Florida when they got this call asking if they would take Natalia. And within days, with little to no processing from the state, Natalia was headed home with her new family. However, another red flag was said to appear before the couple could even get the girl home.
Like I said, that is so rushed. Just being like, all right, we got this girl. If you don't want her, we're going to ship her off to somewhere else. And you don't know where. Here's 2 pictures and like a vet's notice. It's
also,
like literally like you're buying a puppy.
Also, they notice it's just it's kind of a small, weird detail. But to me, I think it's kind of important. In the fact that the date on the birth certificate, it wasn't 2 letters for the month and the day.
Yeah, it wasn't a normal 6-digit
exactly. It was like
date.
It was like 5.
3-digit. It was 3.
Oh, was it 3?
Because it's supposed to say like September 3rd, 2003, but it should say like 09, 03, 03.
Right.
But it just said 933.
Yes. Okay. See what I'm saying? So that looks sus right off the bat. But they had rented a hotel room for the night after making the long trip to meet the girl and were giving their new 6-year-old, I'm using quotes here, baby girl a bath when they noticed something unusual. So I'll just let Andy play this audio for you guys and you can hear for yourself.
That very first night, when Kristine was giving our new daughter a bath, she shouted to me, "Michael," and it wasn't just a shout. It was one of those tones of voice where you knew something was very wrong. I came rushing into the bathroom, and I found Kristine white as a ghost. She was truly shaken. I had no idea why, and I said, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And Kristine simply said, "Look." And I looked down, and Natalia, at age 6, had full pubic hair. And she and I were absolutely stunned, and now we're very concerned and very worried.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I love that again, we talked about how it's like, it seems like some of these guys are a little too comfortable in front of the camera. He hams it up a bit just every time he talks.
He's quite animated, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got the widest set of eyes, too. It's like he has got some Cro-Magnon DNA in there somewhere. This man, I don't know, he's not far from, what's that guy from the that animated show you always tell me to watch?
Oh, Primal?
Yeah, he's not far from the Primal guy right there.
Old Spear from Primal?
But just the way he says things, he's like, look. He's very animating his face. He is look at that. Oh my, and he's blinking a ton.
And the way he tells his stories, they seem very rehearsed.
They seem they're
so
prepped.
theatrical. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, they are very prepped for sure. So yeah, their 6-year-old daughter appeared to have full pubic hair. And this is when they first thought she might be older.
Yeah, you ever see a 6-year-old with a 70s bush?
No, I don't think so. The parents also claimed that Natalia had menstrual cycles and her full set of adult teeth. Now, Natalia is with another family now, which we'll talk more about in a little bit. But her family now says that she still does not have a menstrual cycle, according to them, and never has had one. They believe that Kristine made up all of this.
Okay.
According to court documents, the Barnetts had bone density scans done on Natalia in 2012, and they proved that she was 14 or older at the time she was adopted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They did take her to a doctor to have her checked out eventually because they were like, there is no way this is a 6-year-old.
Yes, and those very same documents claim that Natalia confessed to being older than she was pretending to be during a long-term stay in a psychiatric unit. So that's kind of damning too. But there's no telling what she was under the influence of at the psychiatric unit.
Yeah, there is no real telling because we also have not been able to see these documents. That's a big thing too.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that
Very true.
eventually. So yeah.
So Natalia underwent medical and psychological evaluations between 2010 and 2012. But in 2013, she was discharged from psychiatric care and back into the hands of the Barnetts. According to them, during that time, Natalia was diagnosed as a sociopath and a psychopath after telling her doctor she wanted to kill the Barnetts and admitting that she was older than she was acting.
Just the perfect trifecta of things they found out there.
Yeah, right. It's very convenient.
Yeah.
Like I say. Now, this information is what assisted the court with the decision to change her age. Okay, so that's where that came from. That was my first question. I'm like, wait a minute. How can adoptive parents just go like, change her birth certificate? You know what I mean? I was like, what's the process for that?
I'm still trying to get them tenant under prices at Kennedy's.
Change her. You know how much we spend at Golden Corral now? This is ridiculous.
Kids eat free on Wednesdays. Come on.
But it's also interesting to note that about this same time, the FBI and ICE were looking into Natalia's case because of possible immigration fraud. They believed that there was false age reported prior to her leaving the Ukraine.
Okay.
So it's crazy that the FBI would be looking into her just coincidentally.
At the same time.
It's not like the Barnetts called the FBI. You think?
Did they? I mean, possibly, or at least maybe possibly like called somebody at immigration to be like, can you figure out something? Can you look into this case? Can you look into the, I'm sure they probably did have to call immigration at some point.
Right.
To be like, yes, we are getting a Ukrainian citizen. We need to get her documentation, her paperwork, all kinds of stuff for citizenship. So I'm sure that immigration was involved at some point, but.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. Also, another interesting point is that when Natalia went to this psych ward, she spent this little time in this psych ward. She couldn't be there if she wasn't an adult.
Yeah.
So they must have, like I said, even as far as medically, they considered her an adult.
Yeah.
At that time. So, and I guess she handled the stay pretty well. I mean, she wasn't abused. She didn't look like she, couldn't handle herself or whatnot.
No.
But yet another red flag came when the Barnetts had a family friend who knew Natalia's native language, Ukrainian, I guess, right? And they tried to speak to her. And they said Natalia didn't understand anything the woman was saying, and she also never had any kind of accent at all. She speaks perfect American English.
Yeah. I didn't know if they had said this thing or not. They did say that one thing they because if you see Natalia, she is severe, she is handicapped. She is in a wheelchair a lot of the times too. I think she can walk a bit, but
she also seems to have some type of special boots.
Yeah, I think she can walk.
They're
a
almost
bit.
like braces, but they're also boots.
Yeah, but that was another thing that Michael does talk about, how she is supposed to be physically disabled. She's not supposed to be able to really walk very well. She wants to be carried a lot of the time. And he's giving an interview where he says they take the kids down to the beach. And they're carrying her down to the water, but they have to stop to put all their stuff down to get the blankets out and everything. And she's wanting to go down to the water, and they're saying, "Wait just a minute, we have to get this stuff down." And she just gets up and runs into the ocean. And they both just are looking like, I thought she could barely walk. She's just running on sand.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have a few other things where they've just her little synchronicities or whatever weren't lining up with her story. And
right. Yeah. And there was a lot of other things too. I mean, once they figured out that she could move, apparently she can move better than
she's letting on.
Than she's letting on. Yeah. And a lot of her interviews, she seems like she can't get around too well, but apparently she can. Another odd thing that happened was that Natalia tried to poison Kristine by pouring cleaning solution, Pine Sol, I believe, into her coffee. And we're going to break these down separately, but also tried to push Kristine into an electric fence. Okay?
That's the cleaning power of Pine Sol, baby.
So check this out. With the cleaning power of Pine Sol. Right. So apparently they have a picture of her pouring Pine Sol into one of Kristine's cups. They actually have a picture of her. And on Dr. Phil, I think we have a clip of it as well. on Dr. Phil, she talks about how Kristine, Natalia Natalia says that Kristine made her pose for these pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But why would you do it though?
Let's hear what she has to say about this, because it's one of those things where it's like, why would you pose for this? Who would do this?
Yeah, seriously.
And she says you sprayed bleach in her coffee.
It was lemon pledge for tables.
And she actually has footage of you doing that.
So we had missed a spot. So what I did was I scooted the chair over so I could get up there, and I scooted her coffee back so I could grab the thing, because it was in front of it. So I scooted it back, and I grabbed it. She came out and was like, "What are you doing?" And then she claimed that I tried to spray it in her coffee. You could look in her coffee. There was nothing.
Yeah, so it was little happenstances like this that made the couple decide that Natalia needed to be separated from the family.
That just seems such a quick defense, too. She's like, they said you poured bleach into her coffee. It was lemon pledge.
Yeah.
That was quick.
Yeah, right.
It's like so it wasn't bleach.
Well, she's probably been asked about this a bunch. Yeah. And so she's like, oh, you're talking about the lemon pledge incident. Okay,
exactly.
I can already explain this away, which seems silly, too. I don't know. I mean, that explanation kind of makes sense, except for why would you have your daughter with dwarfism clean things she can't reach?
Exactly. Why would
that
she
doesn't seem very smart. But either way, the Barnetts were terrified of Natalia, according to them at this time, and decided that they needed to separate her from them and their biological children. So here's another clip from Michael about this situation.
The first steps were smaller. She would put thumbtacks face up on our stairs. So when we would walk up and down stairs, we would be stepping on thumbtacks. Certain things would start to become missing in the home. We would find knives under her bed. And then after a short time, there was a moment when I woke up in the middle of the night and Natalia was standing over my bed with a knife in her hand, very blank look on her face, and she's just standing there with a knife. Shortly thereafter, she began to attempt to harm my sons in a very serious manner. My wife, Kristine, would take the entire family, my 3 sons, along with Natalia, downtown to university. My oldest son was attending university at a young age, so the entire family went. And as they would be crossing a street, Natalia had already found something that meant something very important to each of my boys. My youngest son, who was 6, was into cows, so she found his favorite cow toy. My 9-year-old son liked cars, so she found his favorite car toys. And my 11-year-old son was attending university, so she had gotten his homework out of his backpack. As they would be crossing a very, very busy street, she would make sure that the boys were paying attention, and she would launch everything up into the air, into traffic. Now, Holly, to you and I, if something important to us is going in the traffic, we simply know, oh, that's gone. Natalia would simply tell us very coldly and very directly, I'm trying to kill the boys.
So again, another pretty well-rehearsed story there.
That's a very bold confession,
but
too.
But so specific.
It's a very
the
straightforward.
Clear tacks on the stairs, you know what I'm saying? The grabbing the kids' things, throwing them into traffic.
It seems like, I don't know, for to me, it sounds like we talked about a little bit pre-rehearsed stuff. It sounds like those things are so carefully escalating. Like it's a little thing, and then a little bigger thing, and then a slightly bigger thing, and it's like he's carefully saying she did this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and it just it's like he's trying to walk you through how you can believe this. Like look at this little thing, then this little thing, then this big thing.
Yeah, it's lemon pledge in the coffee, and then it's thumbtacks on the stairs, and then it's killing my kids,
and then it's pushing my kids into traffic.
Yeah. Oh, and also pushing Kristine into an electric fence, allegedly.
Yeah.
But how does someone Natalia's size push a grown person into a fence? There were even other people, like with Natalia's exact condition, who were interviewed, and they stated, they're like, yeah, there's no way I could push a normal-sized person into a fence. Like, it's just not possible. If they don't want to go, I'm not going to be able to make them.
I don't know, man. You ever been hit in the back of the knees just the right angle where your knees just buckle? It's like that's the only thing I could think of is somebody just shoulders them right in the back of the knees and their knees buckle down. It's like that's the only way you could bring them down quickly is if you hit them in the back of the knees from quickly enough. But yeah, you're not really being able to push them over. You're not really able to push them forward.
The way the Barnetts describe it ain't even pushing. Like she dragged her towards a fence. Like,
yeah,
come on, she's dragged you.
Yeah, you're not. She's not able to push you over or like roll you, but she could maybe, like I said, take you out the knee to like bring you down to your knees.
Right.
But
I don't know that like I said, that one is sus. But either way, after these events, the Barnetts decided to rent Natalia her own apartment, which was just minutes from their home. They claimed to have provided her with home health aid, Social Security benefits, food stamps, and paying her rent to basically so she could make it on her own. And in 2013, like we said, the Barnetts were kind of preoccupied with their own their biological children. Their genius son Jacob got accepted into Perimeter Institute for Theoretical Physics. Very prestigious.
I graduated there in 2012. Yeah.
Oh,
of course, Michael.
Class of 2012.
I'll see you at the 10-year reunion, of course.
Of course. But that's in Waterloo, Ontario, for you non-geniuses. Now, Jake being
we call you normies.
Yeah, seriously. Now, Jake being just 14 at the time, he couldn't go on his own. So the entire family was going to relocate to Canada. Well, everyone except for Natalia, of course.
Yeah, kind of flight risk at this point.
Yeah, it's good timing, though. It's one thing, to set your quote-unquote adoptive daughter up with an apartment that's minutes from where you live. But when you do it and then immediately to go to Canada, it seems a little suspicious, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems like you were trying to just, dot your T's and cross your I's.
Yeah.
And get this out of here, and, get her out of here as quickly as possible.
Yeah. But see, what's crazy is before this, Natalia actually had another apartment that she was staying in while the Barnetts were still living in town.
Mm-hmm.
And something happened and she got evicted from the apartment for whatever reason. I have no idea. But the Barnetts set her up with a new apartment, and they paid for the entire first year of rent up front on this one. So maybe they had some checks that didn't go through, or
that book deal did really.
Maybe they were giving the money to Natalia and she wasn't putting it on rent, or I don't know. I have no idea. So either way, the Barnetts pay for a new apartment that is settled in town and close to her school, close to Natalia's school. And at this point, they claim that they were communicating with her daily, but later stated that they weren't actually able to contact her, and they assumed that she had moved on to quote-unquote scamming another family.
And what school was she going to at this point? Do you remember?
I don't. She had to have been That's a great question, right?
Yeah, because I was wondering about that.
Oh, no, she was going to an adult school.
Yeah, like a community college.
She was going to like adult classes, adult high school, basically. Yes, she was. So the Barnetts assumed she'd gone on to scamming another family, and maybe they were right, because Natalia very soon was discovered living on her own by a couple in 2016, Antoine and Cynthia Mans, who invited her to come over and hang out with their family. They're just a couple with 3 kids, and Natalia has been with them ever since. It's kind of weird. There's some scenes from the Dr. Phil episode with Natalia. Now, the Dr. Phil episode is very strong in Natalia's favor. Wouldn't you say, Andy?
Oh, yeah.
But it is Natalia on the show with her newly adopted family. And her newly adopted mother, Cynthia, describes their first interaction where she kind of sees Natalia playing by herself, and she goes up to her and she's like, "Hey, where are your parents?" And she says, "I don't have parents. I have an apartment. I live on my own." And she was like, "No, you don't." And she's like, "Yeah, I do." And she was like, "Can you show me?" And then so she took her to her apartment, and she was like, "Yeah, here's my apartment." And she had legit stuff in there. She had like boxed food and things like that.
Here's my cell phone bill. Here's my car insurance.
And according to Cynthia Mans and Antoine, they were like, "Why don't you just come live with us? Why don't you just come over to our house and see how you fit in?"
There's no reason a child should be living on their own like this.
Right? It's weird. But the Mans claim that Natalia was closer to 16 at the time, not 22. And they say that she's a part of their family now. And her version of the events was way different.
Yeah, like you heard that first time when she's on the Dr. Phil show. Like she's quickly got her responses ready, and no, I wasn't doing this. I was just cleaning because they were making me clean. And Yeah, she has a very different story to tell.
Oh my God, yeah.
Other than that wolfman adopted father.
Exactly. Yeah, but the new adopted family claims that Natalia has never shown any violent behavior. They say she's a big help with her new siblings, and she helps around the house. So she is capable of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
The couple tried to petition the court to become Natalia's legal guardians, but were denied because according to her new age, she was not a minor anymore. The whole situation is weird, man. It's like the more you learn about it, the stranger it is.
Yeah, I like the way that one guy says about it in the trailer for the documentary where he's like, it's like a Rubik's Cube. You think you solved it and you turn it around and got there. Where's the yellow on the blue?
Exactly. But apparently, Natalia has had some issues with her age verification in the past. Another couple that had tried to adopt Natalia before, they came forward showing the paperwork that they received showing Natalia's real age. The DuPauls. They're a couple who share the same type of disorder as Natalia, and they thought she would be a good fit, but the adoption fell through for reasons unspecified. Natalia's biological mother was found and interviewed by media outlets, and here's what she has to say about her daughter.
This is from their exclusive interview.
This is my daughter who I gave birth to 16 years ago. She is 16 years old. I gave birth to her on September 4, 2003 at 6:25 a.m. in the maternity hospital.
Natalia has told us she would be willing to reunite with her birth mother if I could arrange it, and that is something that we are working on.
So that's some damning evidence right there. If that is the truth, that obviously doesn't look good for Kristine and Michael, right?
That's very
Scripted.
weird for like if you gave this child up like for adoption at that young of an age, like at birth. How would you be able to look at a 16-year-old and be like, "Yep, that's the baby I gave birth to and gave away for adoption"? Like immediately. That's a weird thing. Like, "Yep, that is the baby I gave birth to on this date."
That's a great point.
It's like, how are you that confident? Like, I guess that's you.
In the days of the interwebs, man, we could get in touch with anybody. You can get in touch with somebody from the Ukraine, get them to read this,
and
blah, blah, and we'll pay you this much amount of money.
They've also had, we talked about how there's other evidences of, previous Ukrainian adoption agencies of having birth certificate errors and forgeries and different numbers. So, yeah, it's not hard to believe that this is just another, con artist.
No, it's not, man. It's scary. But with this new evidence of Natalia being younger, Kristine and Michael were taken to court in 2019, being charged with neglect for abandoning a child in 2013. Now, the couple had divorced in 2014, but both still faced possible jail time if convicted.
It's a weird thing to get divorced right after you've had all this very stressful, intense, and dramatic incidences with this adoption.
Usually when there's an enemy of the entire family, it kind of brings the family together.
Yeah, you really unite together because they all moved away together to be safe and get away. But it seems like maybe some tension behind the scenes wasn't all really what it seemed.
Yeah. And at this time, Michael and Kristine are really throwing bullets at Natalia, whatever they can get to stick. Kristine claimed that Natalia had been with a possible 30 families since entering the United States. That was not denied, by the way.
Not from Natalia?
Yeah, she was like, yeah, I've been with a lot of families.
I've been around.
Yeah. With the first family returning her to child services because she had physically harmed their other child. Natalia admitted on a previous a previous family had returned her to U.S. Social Services when she injured one of their boys. Here's a quote. "One of the boys, me and him, were really close, so we wrestled almost. It just says wrestled almost. But I landed on his arm wrong, so the mom thought I was trying to break his arm," end quote.
Okay. That right there is so alarming to me because we both have kids. We see how children play and wrestle and siblings.
Yeah.
As a parent, when you see two kids wrestling and they're playing, when they're playing. You can tell when there is malicious intent. And for a girl, if she is, a handicapped, dwarfism girl who has all these special needs.
Yeah.
And this mother's like, "Oh, she's trying to hurt my child. She's a villain." That's a bold claim.
Absolutely.
You would, as a mother, to make that claim, you would need to see some hard evidence that someone's trying to hurt your child. especially someone who you are planning to adopt and think it's
Right.
welcome into your family. That's just a very bold statement to say.
And you can tell when kids are trying to hurt other kids, man.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just got her home and they just didn't like her. And they were just like, we don't, she's not a good fit. Let's make something up. That's always the case. That could always be a possibility.
Yeah, but this isn't like a shelter dog. It's just so weird that they're able to just bounce around this much.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, Andy, that's how some of those kids get treated,
True.
It's the reality. The foster program is harsh, dude. But none of these charges stuck, and I really think it's just because of Natalia's gray background, the history. There's nothing concrete there. We don't know who she is, where she's from, really. She has no Ukrainian accent. Like I said, if you listen to her on the Dr. Phil interviews, her voice, her accent's perfect, perfect English. So as of March 2023, just this year, the Barnetts were acquitted of all charges. Michael was first, and then I think a few months later, Kristine was then put on trial, but they were both acquitted separately on all charges of neglecting their adopted daughter. And to this day, still, no one knows how old Natalia really is. And that's what their lawyer used as a defense. He was basically like, if you can't confirm that this is a child, how can you neglect a child?
Yeah. Because one of the things they were trying to get them with is they were really trying to get them on you neglected a child. And then they were like, okay, well, if we can't prove she's a child, she was still your dependent. And you neglected your dependent.
But did they neglect their dependent by paying rent, giving her food, paying her utilities?
Yeah.
It's like...
that was how they had to try and get them again, because they were like,
Dr. Phil made some great points as well. He's like, how does she... I don't know, reach the upper counters? How does she go grocery shopping? How does she get there? How does she, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know this day and age, everybody has shit delivered, but I mean, this is what, 2010, 2011? She was living alone. I mean, you couldn't just, you could definitely get stuff delivered, but not as convenient as now. You know what I mean? Where you can just pull it up on an app and have all your groceries delivered and whatnot. And then also, what was her budget like? And then when the Manns found her, Cynthia, her new adopted mother, she claimed that when they first found her in her apartment, she had nothing but like box food, like I
frozen
imagine
meals and stuff.
No, not even that. I mean, like snacks, like you would get at a gas station, like a box of Cheez-Its and crackers and maybe beef jerky, like stuff like that.
Yeah, like a normal, well-balanced
And she
meal.
even said on in a few interviews, she said, yeah, I would go down to the gas station and like some other tenants sometimes would give me money and I would get food from there.
Okay, what's wrong with eating from a gas station, Michael? Sometimes you like those beef jerky's pretty good, okay? Sometimes you just want a gas station hot dog and some cheese.
I'm just saying, that's just the only, it makes sense because she could walk there is what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You couldn't call an Uber.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't know.
And I'm assuming at this point she didn't have a driver's license.
Also,
she wasn't set up
lived for well over a year on her own. It's like, could a 8-year-old do that?
Yeah, because could an 8-year-old be a functioning a member of society? Could they survive on their own, know how to do all these things?
Right. And then when Cynthia Mann found her apartment, when she went up with her that day, when she saw her at the park or wherever she was, she didn't say like, oh, the apartment was in disarray or it was so nasty or it wasn't cleaned up or this. No, she's like, no, it looked nice. She had, basic amenities. She had box foods.
It looked like a teenager was living there.
Like you said, the Rubik's Cube thing, man. You think you got one side of this figured out, and then you flip it over, and you're like, what the hell?
Where'd this color come from?
Yeah.
Why is there a green?
It's freaking weird. And like we said, guys, make sure you check out the docuseries. We're not like being sponsored by this or anything. I'm curious about it myself. It's called The Curious Case of Natalia Grace. How am I saying Natalia this whole time? I'm saying Natalie.
Natalia.
Wow, so me. But anyways, it's debuting on ID channel starting Monday, May 29th, the end of this month. Like I said, there's a link to the YouTube trailer right below this description. And as you hear the trailer, I think you'll still be just as confused as you are after listening to this podcast. It's back and forth. I think the media and the Barnetts and Natalia at this point are withholding a lot of other interviews and information until this airs on ID. And you're gonna see it's gonna be a freak show.
When you see that trailer, that I keep making these werewolf jokes about this man, but that man looks like he is mid lycanthropy change. Like he is punching the floor and screaming. Like I feel like he's about to just Hulk out of his shirt at some point.
Literally punching the floor, and he's not exaggerating there. This man is on the floor punching the floor during a one-on-one interview. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, this takes Tom Cruise bouncing on a couch up to 11.
Yes, it does. And in my opinion, the trailer, it sort of paints a picture of Kristine as like this manipulative monster, and Michael as like this unstable husband who is kind of like along for the ride.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just kind of how it, in my opinion, it paints it. But like I said before, as far as the law is concerned, the Barnetts were declared not guilty. So they've been acquitted. That may be the case, but I don't know if they're innocent, dude. I mean,
I don't feel like there is really I don't really feel like there's a true victim or a true perpetrator in this case.
There is some damning
confusing.
little bits of audio in that trailer. But I wonder if they're trying to pull you one way, and then when you watch the doc, it's, everything they showed you in the trailer were just the tiny little snippets compared to the mountain of evidence that Natalia is a psycho orphan.
Exactly. I feel like they're definitely giving you all these teasers. They're trying to hook you in, but there's some sound bites in there. There's some clips of things you're like, oh shit, that way points one direction. Well, that points the other way.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's weird, man. The evidence and the things that the Barnetts come up with, it's like so specific. Like with the pubic hair thing and the thumbtacks and the pine saw or the lemon pledge, whatever the hell it was. It just seems weird to make up. But also, it did seem like they had a lot to lose, and maybe they saw Natalia as kind of like a weight on their family, especially after all of a sudden their son was starting to succeed and look like he had a bright future.
Because it almost looked like, and this is just pure speculation right here. This is speculation nation.
All of this is, absolutely.
But it just seemed like this family had 3 children. The mom wrote a successful book about her special needs son, who is a success story now.
Right.
And it's almost like they were trying to get another kid that wasn't one of theirs, and she was going to do the same thing to make another success story.
Interesting point.
For a sequel book or whatever.
And she didn't find a good candidate.
And it didn't work out. Yeah. And they're like, they needed to kind of cut this one loose to move on. That's just pure speculation. That's just an angle that it can seem like in some angle or some situations. But that's just kind of what some little red flags that piqued in my interest was like, okay, this kind of seems like you were maybe looking for some inspiration for a sequel book. After that first one went off so well, and you're thinking, well, I have to have something to write about.
The nurturing mother strikes again.
Yeah. It's some kind of different, the sequel is way bigger than the original.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just kind of seemed like that to me.
But why didn't she give up? I mean, reforming a little psychopath, as you say, wouldn't that be even greater?
I feel like it was probably just too much to deal with. It was just, it wasn't going to be as easy as she wanted it to be, and she needed it to be a quick turnaround, probably.
Yeah.
Like the son's going off to college, you got to get the money for that college, you got to get all these different things to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, he's getting scholarships, he's getting all kinds of different grants and everything, but still, you're moving the whole family over here, you're traveling all this time, you gotta earn some extra cash.
Oh, definitely. So what do you think about Natalia, though? I mean, what do you think?
I don't know. It's a weird little thing, but when you see her, the way she gives interviews, the way she looks, and the way her body language is, something doesn't sit right with me.
I know. Even in pictures when she's quote unquote 8, it's like she's like throwing up peace signs and stuff. She's like sitting at tables, like laughing with a cup. I don't know. It just doesn't look 8 to me.
Yeah, there was even a comment where, like, I think it was Kristine walked up. She said Kristine said at one point, like, she walked up to her and said, was like, ugh, these kids are exhausting. I don't know how you do it. She's like, yeah, but you're one of the.
You're a kid.
Yeah, you're the youngest. Like, what the fuck?
Right? It'd be funny if, like, maybe an adult has said that to her or something like that, and maybe that's the case.
But still, it was.
I don't know. You never know what these kids are exposed to in foster care, honestly.
Exactly. We watched a couple different people to kind of try and break her down and dissect her mental state and everything like that. But yeah, she comes from the abyss, and she just kind of appeared in their lives, and now it's been this ongoing mystery ever since.
It's so weird, dude.
It is really a weird thing.
I'll tell you what's not a weird thing. All natural deodorant.
Oh, it's not weird at all, man. It's not weird at all.
In fact, it's a very normal thing, and you should do it.
It's totally normal.
It's totally normal. And I suggest you start with Oh My Gaia.
Oh my Gaia, Michael.
That's right, Andy. An innovative all-natural deodorant, fragrance, and beard oil company specializing in paraben and aluminum-free products. Their innovative line of deodorants inhibit the growth of odor-causing bacteria while still maintaining effectiveness. And at Oh My Gaia, they use only all-natural paraben and aluminum-free ingredients, okay? And there's always a scent to suit your fancy, like vanilla, cherry almond, sandalwood, lavender, lemongrass, Egyptian musk, coconut, dreamsicle, leather, lumberjack, honeysuckle, fireside, bergamot, amber, pear, sweet pea, sailor, barbershop, and true crime pine.
I feel like every time you do that, you got to have that Ace Ventura set up. You're like, I thought you'd never ask.
And you do the whole thing in reverse.
It's got to list all these scents going down real fast.
That's right.
One breath.
And those scents are available in not only natural deodorant, but also scented oils and beard oils, fellas. If you're growing out that beard, get you some beard oil. I got me some lumberjack and also some leather and lavender.
Ooh, I got some of
nighttime.
that. I got some of that pine for my beard.
Oh, very
I
nice.
like to smell nice and tree, like I just hugged a nice evergreen.
Oh, yes. That's always a pleasant smell.
Like I just fell out of the top of a Christmas tree.
That's right. But because you guys are True Crime Guys listeners and you're creepers, you can use code word creeper for 15% off your order at shop_ohmygaia on Instagram or ohmygaia.com. That's ohmygaia.com. Use code word creeper for 15% off.
You know what else we can talk about though, Michael?
What else?
Because you got me thinking about some good vibes right now.
Yeah.
And we gotta get some vibes going in here with tonic CBD.
Yes,
because it's true. Not all CBD products are created equal, from how the hemp is grown and processed to how it's formulated and delivered into your sweet bodies.
Sweet bodies.
That's why Tonic's products really stand out with original formulas using CBD, adaptogens, herbs, and superfoods. It has been working to deliver the most effective, intentional, and sustainable products possible. Ever so possible, Michael.
I have no idea.
Tonic cultivates their own hemp on their certified organic family farm in upstate New York. That hemp travels only 30 minutes to their distribution facility, where it is then turned into a finished product and sent directly to you, our listeners, ensuring only the highest quality vibes at every stage of the process. With values rooted in quality, integrity, and sustainability, Tonic is committed to creating plant-based wellness products that are good for the people and good for our planet. Oh my Gaia, that's a good idea. And visit tonicvibes.com to learn more and use code word creeper for 20% off your order. That is tonicvibes.com and use code word creeper for 20% off your order.
That's right, guys. Thank you so much for supporting our sponsors, for supporting the people that support us. Like we said, you can get everything that we create at patreon.com/truecrimeguys, and sometimes you can get it even early. Also, I want to remind everybody, old episodes 51 through 100 will be placed in the vault on June 1st. So if you're here on the free platform and you're going to stay a freeloader, that is perfectly fine. We appreciate you very much, and you'll still get your new episodes every week. But you better listen to those 51 through 100 if you haven't already.
Yeah, start cramming.
That's right.
And guys, we will be back on YouTube next week again.
Yes.
Taking a week off right now for some family stuff and vacations. Like I said, I'm heading out of town this weekend.
Yes, heading out to LA.
Going to the West Coast to Hollywood.
Right on.
So I'm not coming back. I'm just going to make it big out there.
Oh, damn it.
All it's going to take me is 2 days. I'm going to get noticed. I'm going to get discovered. You'll never hear from me again, Michael.
Yeah, we never heard this before.
This is my goodbye. You'll never hear from me
Usually
again.
it's from people that moved to LA, but Andy's just visiting. And
I'm preempting this.
He already has illusions.
I'm going to get discovered in this Marriott.
Yeah, take some of your scripts. Try to pitch them.
Start handing them out on Hollywood Boulevard.
Who do I talk to? Who do I talk to?
You think that Spider-Man on the street will take my script? I bet that's Andrew Garfield.
Right. That guy's super famous. Is that Subway Spider-Man? You know how many influencers you probably see in LA? But yeah, guys, thank you so much for supporting the show. Also, there'll be, like we said, there'll be no video version of the show this week. Next week, we'll be back on YouTube, back on the free platform everywhere. And yeah, until then, I guess you guys will just have to keep on creeping. All right,
I guess
Andy?
they will.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you later.
Bye. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to check out all the other shows on our TCG network, as well as subscribing to our YouTube channel. Starting every Monday with new episodes of Strange and Unexplained, followed every other Tuesday by our audio drama podcast, Sandu Stories. Then, of course, new episodes of True Crime Guys every Wednesday. And if that's not enough, head on over to our Patreon, where you can have access to hundreds of hours of exclusive content, including older episodes, strange shorts, the latest edition of Sandu Stories, and of course, higher thoughts. But until next time, guys, keep creeping.
You hush your mouth, boy.